Hello everybody! So recently I've been uploading a lot of content on IL-2 Sturmovik on TikTok and YouTube. It's fun. You should come check it out. But because I've been doing that, I've got a lot of questions about what my sim setup is or what are some setups that you can look at yourself. So this is that video because my fingies are tired and I don't want to type it anymore. Now you've probably heard that flight sim setups are crazy expensive, and I'm gonna be honest. It's true. It's a pain in the ass. But in this video, I have a setup that's $40 tops. You can probably find it for cheaper. For the sake of simplicity, I've come up with 3 options, anywhere from $35 to way too much money. But you don't have to look specifically within these 3 options. I'll go over what's important in this video so you can make an educated decision for yourself. These are just 3 that I've tried out myself and I know worked for me. So the first setup that I've come up with here is the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro. And this is really only one I suggest you look at if you're just getting into flight simulation and you're not sure if you're going to love it yet. The stick is only about $35–40 on Amazon, so it's a great way to figure out if you're going to be into it, and it's honestly a great place to start. I bought mine way back in 2014. It's still out there kicking. One of my friends has it somewhere. The stick has everything that you're going to need to start. You really don't need anything more than that to start flying in sims. That's definitely nice to have, but it's not absolutely necessary. The Extreme 3D Pro has 12 mappable buttons, a hat switch on the top end, and a throttle slider. Additionally, you have pitch, roll, and yaw control on the stick. If you twist the stick, it will let you control the rudder. So that's really all you're going to need to start. For a simulation like IL-2, there are a lot of controls that you have to bind. But most of those controls can be bound to your keyboard. You don't need them on the stick. Tristan, one of my friends who flies with me on the simulator, you may have seen him in the videos. He uses a stick with like a couple buttons on it up until recently. So you can definitely make it work. Now here's where I'll talk about head tracking. I personally use TrackIR, which I'll show you here. This little device on the side of my headphones with the sketchy little bag attached to it is my TrackIR, and I've had to repair it a couple times because my cat likes to chew through the cord. But these things are great. If you've never seen them before, they just attach to your headset. It's got these 3 lights here, and the other half of it right here. So these 3 lights talk to this guy so that it knows if I'm turning my head left, right, up, down, moving side to side. It's kind of like the poor man's VR headset. Now TrackIR is fantastic if you're trying to find a way to look around in a flight sim. VR is also an amazing option, but we're all poor out here. If you can't shoot for a TrackIR, which is honestly stupid expensive. I mean, why is this piece of plastic $150? But it's definitely something you don't need right away. There are workarounds to looking around in flight sims. You don't have to shoot for the TrackIR just yet. See if you like it first, and that could be something you buy down the line. If you're not able or simply just don't want to buy head tracking yet, I suggest either using the hat switch on the top of the Extreme 3D Pro. If you do that, I highly suggest that you have a button that will snap your view back to center. It will just make your life a lot easier when you're trying to aim your guns. The setup I always used with this stick was actually using my mouse to look around, which is really weird at first and takes practice getting used to, but I got really good at it, and actually once I got the TrackIR, I started using it for like a day, couldn't stand it because it was weird to get used to, and I actually went back to the mouse method for a little while. Basically, your right hand is on the stick, your left hand is on the mouse. You can look around over here, control your plane over here. You'll have to kind of get used to it, but definitely works. Additionally, when I was using those controls, I had left click set to move my head left and right click set to move it right. Not look around, but just move left to right like that. Middle mouse button was set to just snap the view back to center, and that worked really well for me. Now the reason I bring all of that up is because it's something that you can just tack on to any of the setups I'm about to show you. It's not a necessity that you're going to need, but it's definitely a huge quality of life upgrade that I highly suggest if you're able to shoot for it. Now moving on to the next setup, this is kind of like a mid-range setup, and I'm actually just going to suggest my very own setup for that. I personally use the Thrustmaster T16000M HOTAS along with the Thrustmaster TFRP pedals. All of these can be bought in a pack together for around $240, but if you don't want to buy the rudder pedals just yet, it's only around $150. If you do choose to buy them all together, I think you save around like 50, 60 bucks, something like that. So this is the flight stick. If you look on the top here, there are 3 buttons. I have these set to fire rockets, drop bombs, and open the bomb bay door, as well as this hat switch, which I have set to trim the aircraft. At the bottom here, we have 6 buttons on either side of the stick, so 12 total, as well as this slider here. I don't use the slider for anything. A couple of these I have set up to like extend an air brake or something. I just kind of use these as I want the control somewhere I can remember, but it's not like so important that I'm gonna need to be pressing it all the time. And of course there is a trigger on the front. You're gonna need that. Moving on to the throttle, I'll start on the back end here. So if you look, we've got these 2 orange buttons. These you can set up to an engine control or something, you know, down, up. There's also a switch here that goes down and up. I have these set to my flaps so I can just hold it down to drop them, lift it up to raise them. Additionally, there's this joystick in the front, which it works a lot like an Xbox controller joystick or a PlayStation, where you can move it around and click on it. I personally don't use this to look around or anything like that. I have the track IR, so I don't really use the movement of it, but depressing the stick, I just use that as an additional button. Currently it's set to boost the engine. So kind of like WEP if you've played War Thunder. Now along the side here, we've got a button on the bottom. That one I've just set to control the tail wheel, as well as these 3 hat switches. The one on the top is an 8-way, and these 2 are 4-way hat switches. These are fantastic, and honestly the selling point of this setup. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of controls you need to bind in IL-2, and it's really nice to have engine controls just at your fingertips, you know? For instance, I have forward set to fuel mixture up, back set to fuel mixture down, up set to oil radiators up, down. You get where I'm going with this. Up here we have the RPM forward and back, and the water radiators up and down. And then on the top here I have the outlet cowlings set to open forward and close back, and the inlet cowlings set to open up, close down. Additionally, my favorite part of this throttle is this little guy right here. It's a little wheel, and you can set that to zoom in and out. It's wonderful. I love it. Barely requires any thinking. You just slide your pinky forward and back. Zoom in, zoom out. It's that easy. As for the rudder pedals, I use the Thrustmaster TFRP pedals. They're fine. They're just fine. I would recommend them mostly because for the price that they're at, I don't see any reason to spend so much more to get anything that's better. They're fine. They'll get the job done. If you're going to be going above the price point of Thrustmaster T16000M, at that point, you can't really go wrong. Honestly though, if you're really balling as much as you can, there's only one, and it is the Thrustmaster Warthog. That thing is very cool. It's a 1-to-1 reproduction of the flight stick in the actual A10 Warthog. Very expensive stick. You don't want to know. I'm not going to go too in-depth on the different buttons and everything on this thing. If you're looking into buying the Warthog, you probably didn't need this video in the first place, but if you'd like to take a look at it, there are a lot of very detailed videos on that thing, and I suggest you look at it and admire from afar, and just force yourself not to buy it. Well, I think that kind of covers everything. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Check out the TikTok and the shorts, and try out IL-2 Sturmovik. It's really fun, and it's on sale for another few days.